Good morning, children. How are you all? Hope you are fine. I am your biology teacher, Radhika, at Dr. Bison School. Okay, so we have started with our third chapter, that is Story of Microorganisms 1. In the previous video, I had explained about the different groups that we can divide the microorganisms into. That is, what are those groups? Can you recollect? They are fungi, bacteria, protozoa, okay, algae and virus. Among them, the first group, that is the group fungi. Okay, as I suggested, told in the previous video, fungi is for plural and singular is fungus. Okay, so today we are going to study about fungus or the group fungi. Okay, what is this fungi? Okay, it is one of the excuse me, it is one of the non-green plants group. In 7th class we have studied about some fungi like the mushrooms, bread molds and yeast. Can you recollect? In nutrition in plants and also in reproduction we have studied how they would undergo reproduction or how would they undergo nutrition. They are all saprotrophs or the saprophytic plants we had studied, isn't it? So these plants are considered as one keyword that I can write about the fungi is that they are called as non-green plants. They can be called as non-green plant-like organs only. No? So we call them as non-green plants. Okay, as they may remain fixed to one place. They have similar root-like structures. Just like the plants have the roots, stem, leaves like that. They don't have any leaves, but they have false root-like structures and stem-like structures. But they don't have leaves. So we call them as non-green plants. Okay. So now these can be made up of a single cell or many cells. They can be made up of a single cell or many cells. They are made up of single cell. That means the whole plant body is made up of a single cell. Example for that is yeast. Okay, or many cells. If they are many cells, then what is it called as? If it is single cell, it is called as unicellular, isn't it? It is unicellular. If it is made up of many cells, then it is called as multicellular. Okay, example of multicellular. Example is mushrooms. Many of you would be eating mushrooms, isn't it? You like to eat mushrooms. Or bread mold. Okay, like this. Some of the examples I have given. Now third one. I told in the second chapter that the animal cells do not contain a cell wall, whereas the plant cells contain a cell wall. So here these fungal cells or the fungi also contain a cell wall, but that cell wall contains a special substance that is called as chitin. Okay, they contain a cell wall that is made up of a substance that is called as chitin. Okay, that is made up of chitin. I just underline all these terms, keywords here till now. Okay, they are made up of a single cell or many cells. Single cell or many cells, that is multicellular. Okay, children. They are non-green plants. They are all non-green plants. This is one more point, important point, isn't it? Apart from that, what else? Okay. So they contain some of them. They all grow in the rotting food. Okay. Some of them would grow in the rotting food, and some of them may cause diseases. Some of them are useful. Okay, they, before that we can write, they cannot undergo photosynthesis. They cannot undergo photosynthesis. Okay, what else we can write about them? They produce structures for reproduction. They produce some structures that are called as spores. Okay, they produce seed-like structures. I can say seed-like structures. They are not seeds because they don't possess the flowers. Seed-like structures, which are called, we have studied in asexual reproduction in 7th class, isn't it? Called as spores. Some of them are useful and some of them are harmful, quite harmful to us. Okay, they are called as spores. Some of them are useful and some of them are harmful. So what we have written, few points I have written, fungi are, we can consider them as non-green plants as they cannot undergo photosynthesis. They don't have a true stem, roots, leaves and all, false, they are all false. Okay, next is they are made up of a single cell. Example of such organism is yeast. So it is microscopic. Then they may contain many cells like mushrooms or the bread molds. Okay, then they contain a cell wall made up of chitin. Okay, and they cannot undergo photosynthesis, and they, for reproduction, they undergo asexual reproduction by producing spores. Okay, they undergo asexual reproduction by producing the spores. Okay, many more characters are there that you will be studying in your 9th class. Okay, children, so please note this down. Then I will go to the next part. We will write the method how we can observe. Okay, so I just rub it off. Few points about fungi all have written. Very good. Then I just rub it off. Then we go to the next part, that is how to observe the fungi. And then we can draw the diagrams of fungi also. How we can draw. Okay, children. So here we shall see, where do you find them? Okay, I told that they would be growing on the rotting wood or in the spoiled food. So you could be seeing that on the bread if it is kept outside, or the what is that, cake, buns, all this if they are kept outside for 2 to 3 days. After that we see that it has got a white patches or the black colored patches, powdery structures on the surface. Okay, similarly on the vegetables, fruits, you can see that it becomes very soft, okay, very tender, and on the surface you can see white colored or black colored, sometimes green, pink, some powdery substance. So all these that you see on the vegetables or the fruits, okay, that is nothing but the fungi. Okay, that is only called as a bread mold. For this you can carry out a simple activity, but you have to be very careful when you do this. After doing this, okay, you can take a small bread piece or a bun, or if not that, you can even take any vegetable. Okay, you can take a tomato or onion, sprinkle some amount of water on that and leave outside. Okay, not in the hot sun, but you have to take that and put it inside the cupboard, somewhere in the kitchen. Okay, where it should be humid. More water should be there in the atmosphere, and warm and humid. So they grow best in the warm and humid conditions. So if you keep any such vegetable, or you can even take a small piece of coconut. Okay, that coconut piece also you can keep in one of those racks inside the kitchen. Okay, close it off and leave for 1 or 2 days. After that, take out that, and you can see that on the surface you can find black colored powdery substance. And this black powdery substance is the fungus that has grown, or the bread mold that has grown on the coconut. Okay, children. So like this you can do it at home, but when you are doing this, you can see carefully, you can take any lens. Okay, if you have got a lens, with that lens, magnifying lens, if at all it is there at home, you can see, with the help of that you can see small ball-like structures in that powder, and those are the sporangia, which in turn contain small spores. Okay, so when you come to the school, we can carry out this activity and observe all these under the microscope. As you cannot come, we simply write the activity in the notebooks and we can see it at home. Once you come to the school, we can carry out it in the school. Okay, children. So we just write that activity observing fungi. So aim of that is to observe fungi or which type of fungi we want to observe? We are going to observe a bread mold. Now you all can take out an mushroom. It will be available in the market to purchase, as well as you can see in the gardens also. Now on the rotten woods and all it comes, it grows on its own. So you can take out any such mushroom and observe. And this bread mold activity also, when you carry out, after that you have to wash your hands thoroughly and then eat the food, because that fungus may enter into the food. Okay. Then what are the materials required? Materials required. What are those materials that are required? What are those materials required? We can write bread, or coconut. Okay, you can take any vegetable also, or vegetable. Okay, then you have to take this one rotten, that is you have to leave, sprinkle water and leave for few days, then it is said to be rotten one. Okay, then you need a needle or forceps, slides, water. Okay, and then microscope. You can even take a stain, any stain you want you can take. Okay, any stain you want you can take that. So these things we have written which are needed. Next we write the procedure, how to carry out that. Okay, what is that procedure? What is that procedure to be carried out? First one, take some rotten part of a vegetable, take some rotten part of a vegetable, or bread, or coconut. Okay, on a slide with the help of a forceps or needle. Okay, either of them you can use and take that. Next, what you do, put a drop of water Put a drop of water stain it and observe under the microscope. It under the microscope. Okay, so you do this. After that you would write this. Okay, under the microscope you can observe. Now draw. After that what you can do? You have to draw the rough sketches. Draw the rough sketches. Okay, draw the rough sketches, children. So what we have to do? We have to take some rotten part of a vegetable or a fruit or a coconut or bread, anything you can take on which you can find that green or black or brown or white, pink, any that powdery thing you have to take carefully. That part only you have to take out, and then with the help of a forceps or needle, that you have to put on a slide. Okay, and then we have to stain it and carefully we have to observe under the microscope. Okay, then what we find under the microscope we are going to draw. That is only our observation. So please complete this first. Okay, so shall I rub it off? I shall draw the diagrams. Okay, observation. These things without the microscope also you can observe at home. Okay, I kept one such thing, but actually it got misplaced somewhere. So if possible in the next videos I may show that. Okay children, because again I have placed it. Once it gets rotten I will show it in the next videos. For now you can also actually try this out. Now our observations, how you will find. You can simply make a circle showing that under the microscope we will be observing everything in a circle. So if you draw a circle, inside that if you draw, what happens is that the space will be less smaller and you can draw a neat diagram. So when we observe, we can find many thread-like structures throughout that. Okay, and those thread-like structures are the false stems that these fungi will have, and those false stems are called as hyphae. If we do that, we will be observing that they will be all interwoven like this. You can find, okay, as if some threads have been placed in the microscope. Okay, but they are all the stem-like structures of the fungi. Okay, so those stem-like structures that we see under the microscope, they are called as the hyphae, and from them we could be seeing some of them protruding upwards. Okay, just like small branches are there on the trees, no? Like that we can find that many such structures are protruding from the stem, these stem-like structures, and those protruding structures are called as the sporangia. Plural is sporangium and singular is, plural is sporangia and singular is sporangium. And as we find these hyphae, okay, these false stem-like structures, they are called as hyphae. Under them, into the bread mold, if we pick out, we can find small root-like structures. Okay, and false root-like structures are called as the rhizoids. So whatever food is there in the bread or the vegetable and all, that will be absorbed, okay, directly by these roots, and that would be given to the stem. Okay, so the plant would be eating, this fungus eats that spoiling food with the help of these roots. So these are the structures which are made up of many cells, and these cells are Okay. So it is a multicellular fungus. So this is what we are going to observe in the microscope. Inside that we can find many dot-like structures or powder-like structures. So each sporangium, what happens? It will burst open and these pores are released into the air. So wherever they fall again, that food again they are going to spoil. So what precautions we should take care? We should see that the foods are always covered. Unknowingly we tend to contaminate the food. As the food is open, in the air also millions of microorganisms are there and these microorganisms may enter into the food. Okay children, so like this we see that these pores. Okay, here I show one open sporangium. Okay, it is already ripened, just the way fruit ripens, no? Like that the sporangium would ripen and the spores are released to the outside. Okay, and they are carried by the air to different parts. Okay children, so here I have drawn what we could observe there. So I shall label each part. You should always draw the diagrams in the notebook with only with a pencil. That is a sporangium. In 7th class already I have taught you about this. Again we are seeing. Okay, then these are the spores. And these thread-like structures are the hyphae. Okay, I consider that as the false stem. For your understanding, I am writing like this. And these are the false root-like structures. Okay, they are called as rhizoids. They are the false roots. What do they absorb? What do these false roots absorb? They absorb the food from the rotting vegetable or anything, whatever it is. Okay, from the rotting vegetable or fruit or anything, etc. Vegetable, etc. Understood children? So like this we see that the fungi are having these false stem-like structures. So this part that is there, no, that will be in between the food substance, that is under the vegetable or under the fruit. It will not be seen outside. Only what we can see on the surface is these sporangia, and so to some extent we can see these structures. Okay, that will hold the sporangia. Inside the sporangia we can see many thousands and thousands of spores, and these spores will be released from the sporangia once that is ripened. Okay, and those spores go and fall in any other place. There the food is available, again they start growing into a new fungus. Okay, so this is the example I have drawn of that of a bread mold. The scientific name for this bread mold is Rhizopus. The scientific name is Rhizopus. Okay children, so you will have to learn these structures and these diagrams. So this is the activity. In the activity we have seen this Rhizopus. Apart from this, one more diagram I shall draw, that of yeast. Okay, so please draw this, then I go and draw. And can you say that this bread mold is useful? Is it useful? No. It causes diseases in us. It spoils the food. If at all we consume that, food poisoning would occur. You will have continuous vomitings, loose motions and all. Okay, apart from that, many fungi would also grow in certain regions wherever there is more humid conditions, especially in the rainy season. And as youngsters, you all need to clean yourselves regularly. Okay, they would grow between the thighs, under your arms. Okay, on the skin also they tend to grow if you don't maintain neatness. Okay, you get the ringworm disease, that is nothing but a fungal infection. Okay, so if you regularly clean with soap water, then these infections will not occur. and you have to wear washed clothes. With wet clothes also you should never remain. If it is sweating, you have sweated, then you have to change. You have to take bath and change and wear fresh clothes. And many of you don't change your socks also. I keep telling in the classroom, you need to change the socks every day, uniform every day. So if you don't, then the fungal infections, different fungal infections can occur to you. Okay, and you will face lot of problems if you have that. Okay, children. So here about the bread mold, it is highly poisonous. We should not consume that. So we have to take precautions. Before eating the food also we have to wash our hands. So have you completed? So I shall draw one more. I will write about the uses and harmful effects. Okay, you've written this. Then I draw another one, that is yeast. Your mother prepares idli dosa and all, isn't it? So that idli dosa is very spongy, fluffy, tasty. Why? Or dhokla. Many of you are eating dhokla. Why? Because that also gets that fluffiness because of the yeast that is there in the air. Though your mother does not add yeast to the idli dosa or the dosa dough or duff, it becomes spongy because the yeast that is there in the air, it enters into the batter and it makes it very nice, very tasty. Okay, very fluffy. Okay, so that is also another fungus. Second example is yeast. What are the different examples? This is yeast. It is unicellular. In the next video, I will just show you the yeast powder. If you go to the bakery shop, there the yeast powder is available. Okay, we can observe the yeast. We have got the slides in the lab. When you come to the school, I shall show the yeast. So this is useful in baking industry. Next lesson again we shall be studying in baking industry. Next lesson anyway I will be telling more about that, so I will not tell now. Alcohol, etc. Okay, the next one is, they are all small ones. In 7th class also we have drawn, just that's all. They have only this much is the structure of a typical yeast cell. So when you observe the slide, we can find many that drop-like structures. They are all the unicellular yeast cells. Okay. Next one is, okay, penicillin. In next chapter, part 2, I am going to teach so much about this penicillin. Okay, it is a multicellular then used as antibiotic, first antibiotic. Okay, in that lesson we shall be telling in detail. Apart from that, there are so many other antibiotics. Okay, so here I shall draw one such penicillin. How they would appear? I told that they are all multicellular. So like this you can find, just like the flower it is appearing now, but it is not. They are all the stems. On the surface you can find these sporangia. These are all the sporangia inside which the spores could be there. Okay, like this you can find bunches of these sporangia. Okay, so this is penicillium. Here I have written penicillin. Why I am changing is that penicillin is the antibiotic prepared from penicillium. So I should not write penicillin, but instead I have to write penicillium. So this is one more example, yeast penicillium. Morning already, in the previous video already I have drawn about mushrooms, isn't it? Mushrooms are edible. I just write mushrooms. They are also multicellular. Eaten as It contains high amount of protein. High amounts of high amount of protein. Okay, children. So here we have seen some of the advantages and disadvantages of our group. First group, that is fungi. Like yeast is a unicellular fungus which is used in the alcohol industry or the baking industry. Then penicillium is used in medicine, okay, to prepare the antibiotics. Mushrooms are useful as we all consume them. It contains high amount of protein, so we can have that. Okay, the harmful ones are the bread molds or aspergillus also. So like this we have seen many uses and disadvantages of fungus in this. So I want that you all note down this from the board. Okay, whatever I have written, it is in a very systematic way I have given. It is easy for you all to learn. Okay children. So in the next video we shall go to see bacteria. Thank you children.